So we got a new promotional picture for Supergirl, and I kind of want to address some of the controversy going on with her cameo in the Superman movie. So I kind of want to hit on the new image that was released. Depending on when you're watching this video, it was released a couple hours ago. But I want to just talk about the images because now with Superman out, we're going to start promoting Warner Brothers and the studio is going to start promoting Supergirl because that's their next big film in the DCU. So let's go ahead and take a look at the picture. I think the picture is really cool. It would have been cool if we got to see more of like her face and whatnot. But instead of looking up, it says look out. And if you guys seen the movie Superman, then you kind of understand why it says look out, because she came in and she was all kinds of drunk. She was moody. She had a hangover, all types of stuff. But I want to give my thoughts on both the image and the whole cameo in Superman because a lot of people didn't like it. I'm not here to change your mind at all. If you don't like it, don't work for you, that's perfectly fine. I'm just here to provide context on the cameo and what they are working toward in the upcoming movies. That's all I'm here to provide. Not here to change your mind, just here to provide context. So if you're new to the channel, please do me a favor, smash that like and subscribe button. I'm knocking out a bunch of videos because I am moving in the next couple days. So I am just trying to create as much videos so I can set them up all to record, and hopefully you guys enjoy the content. We are moving up a lot in subscribers here over on the channel. We're almost at 2,900. I can only do that with your support. So if you guys can do me a massive favor, as one fan to another, just hit that subscribe button. So let's talk about the image first. Like I said, I like the image. One thing I really enjoy about this image is I love the color palette. That's one thing that I really liked about the Superman movie, was that we finally got the bright, colorful Superman that I grew up with as a kid, as a fan of the Christopher Reeve Superman, as a fan of the cartoons, the comic book. It's something I really, really enjoyed. Like, don't be afraid of the comic bookness that is Superman, the corniness of Superman. These are comic book characters. They've been around. Superman's been around since the 30s. It's okay to embrace the corniness. It's okay to embrace the brightness. Not everything. I mean, the darkness stuff has its place. And like I said, everybody has their own fans. What I love about this new Superman is if you're a fan of Man of Steel, you still have that version of Superman that you can go back and you can watch and you can absolutely love. But for someone like me who is in their 40s, I literally waited decades for Superman, for the movie that we just got. I waited decades for that movie. And we finally got it. Now we have a Superman for everybody to enjoy. If you like Man of Steel, you got Man of Steel. If you like this new version, you got this version. If you're someone that prefers the classics, you got the Christopher Reeves. So I love the fact that we finally now have a version of Superman that everybody can enjoy. Whether you're a fan of Cavill, Corn Sweat, or Christopher Reeves, you can go back and you have your movie now. Everybody has their movie that they can enjoy. I don't understand the whole toxicity and the tribalism, but that's just me. But long story short, love this image, love the bright colorfulness. But one thing that was sort of like on the verge of controversy with the Superman movie, and I had this spoiled for me, but I knew Supergirl was going to be in the movie, but there was a scene in the movie toward the end where Supergirl comes and picks up Krypto, because Krypto is her dog, and she comes in bumbling, and she's drunk and has a hangover, and she drops the B word right as she was leaving. She's like, later, and then she just drops the B word. And a lot of people have problems with that, and I can understand where casual people who aren't familiar with the character or familiar with the comic books would have a problem with that. Me personally, I don't have a problem with that because I read the comic books. I followed this character for many, many years, so I understood the context of this, because people like that aren't familiar with the character, Superman was sent to Earth as an infant. Supergirl was already a teenager or almost a teenager when she was sent to Earth. So she got to experience life on Krypton. For Superman, he has no memory of his parents or his planet. where Supergirl, she remembers her family, she remembers her loved ones, she's dealing with that loss. And the fact that Krypton was destroyed and she still remembers all that, she is dealing with a lot. And a lot of the iterations of the comic book hit on the fact that Supergirl was a party girl. Jeff Loeb, the comic books that I read with Jeff Loeb, Michael Turner doing some of the cover art, that was some of my favorite Supergirl comics. And they really dived into how she would go to different planets and stuff. She was a party girl. She would get tattoos on her back. She would do all kinds of crazy stuff. And then more recently, we've got in Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow by Tom King, and it dives more into the struggle that Kara deals with losing her entire planet and losing all of her loved ones and what that means to this character. And again, this Supergirl movie is going to be loosely based on that Tom King comic book, where they're going to be going around and she's just partying, she's drinking. We seen that in the Superman movie where she's just partying, she's drinking, and a lot of people have questions. And I can answer those questions, whether or not you like the answers or not. That's up to you. But this was just a small cameo in order to promote the next movie, to keep the story going. So a lot of critics, a lot of people on YouTube, and especially a lot of the toxic fan base, are like, well, how could she be like, how would she get back to Earth if she was drunk and she lost her powers in the Red Sun and blah, blah, blah. Well, if you read the comic book, and I'm not saying you have to do homework in order to understand the character, but this is not something they're going to explain in a 30-second cameo in a Superman movie. It's Superman's movie. The whole point of this is just to introduce the character and build toward people wanting to see her, because you wouldn't be surprised, even though if you're watching this video, we all know that Supergirl is a thing, that they were making a Supergirl movie, right? We all knew who was playing Supergirl, everything. But you would be surprised. I've seen the movie twice. Both times in the theaters, when she pops up, nobody had a clue that there was even a Supergirl movie being made, let alone the girl from House of Dragons playing Supergirl. So a lot of people was shocked by this. So the whole point of them introducing her in this movie was to introduce those casual people that aren't online, that follow all this news like you, like me. So they're not going to answer all the questions. Like, if she's getting drunk and partying on planets with red suns, people automatically assume, well, how could she fly back if she didn't have her powers? And they expect everybody to give them the exposition of, oh, this is how she does it in a 30-second cameo. It's sort of my thing with the Jor-El message, right? Everybody's so upset about the Jor-El message, and I'm like, this is just set up for future stories. Obviously, this message is fake. This message is damaged. I'm going to do a whole separate video on that. But people want all this explanation in one movie, and I'm like, they're going to cherry pick stories, and they're going to slowly feed out answers as we go forward. So if you read the comic book, like I said, Supergirl gets around planet to planet because she has a spaceship. That's why. It's not complicated. I even said that before. I'm like, guys, she's got a spaceship. That's how she gets from planet to planet. Just because she can fly doesn't mean she flies to all these different planets. Especially if, because so many people, especially with the toxicity and the tribalism, is trying to do the gotcha thing. Like, gotcha, that doesn't make sense. They don't understand the character. How could she fly if she's drunk under the red sun? And like, mostly, those are people that don't read the comic books, don't know about the character, and they try to show that, like, oh, these creators don't understand these characters. Like, no, really, you guys don't understand the character, to be honest with you. But yeah, I thought the cameo was really well done. Now, would I personally, would I rather them not her throw the B word in it? Like, yeah, me personally, if I had to choose, if someone ran it by me, someone called me and said, hey, Rob, we're using this cameo, what do you think? I was like, yeah, you probably didn't have to drop the B word. But so many people in both viewings I went to laughed like crazy when she did it. So she kind of, like, I guess, reflects this younger generation. I personally don't like it, to be honest with you. I would have took that out and maybe had her say something different. But the context of the character being drunk, being hungover, being like kind of rude and stuff because of the Hangover. That all ties back into that comic book by Tom King, and it all leads into previous stories that like Jeff Loeb and other creators basically did throughout the year. So that is basically my thoughts on the whole Supergirl situation. A lot of people don't like it. That's fine. It's objective. You don't have to like it. I'm just here to provide context on what happened in the comic book. And that comic book gets very, very dark. Very dark. It's going to be very interesting to see how they choose to go around certain situations, especially after seeing Superman, because it's just going to be very interesting. I don't think they're going to stay one for one with that comic book. They're probably going to cherry pick, some of the best stuff, but the overall theme of the story, just like James Gunn said, like Superman All-Star, like All-Star Superman was like the inspiration really for this movie, but it's nothing like All-Star Superman. But the themes and the color palette and stuff like that, I feel like the Supergirl movie is going to take a lot of inspiration and maybe the overall element of the Supergirl comic book by Tom King, but not exactly embrace that exact story one for one. So that's just my thoughts on it, guys. Again, just providing context. I'm one of the people that if I really enjoy something, I want to learn as much about it as possible. I've always been a Superman fan ever since I was young enough to remember my mom sewing red towels and red sheets to my shirts. And I loved Supergirl for many, many, many years. She was always one of she's still to this day my favorite female superhero character. I had like every issue of her comic book ever made before I had to sell it because, I ran into some problems with a car accident. But yeah, I'm a big fan of these characters, and I'm so glad we're finally getting that on the big screen. So again, not here to change your mind, just here to give context. I hope everybody can just be very nice and kind in the comments, not be so toxic. I'm always here for discussion, but some of the toxicity stuff just kind of gets overwhelming. But anyway, guys, thank you so much. If you could just do me a favor, we're on our way to 29,000 subscribers. Can only do that with your support. So if you guys can just smash that like and subscribe button, I would appreciate you. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, stay safe.